Today on the galley, we're making mini tuna poke tacos. And when I say mini, I mean mini. So stay with us. Hi, I'm Gary, and welcome to the galley. In the galley today, we're going to take this beautiful piece of tuna, and we're going to make tuna poke. And we're going to use that tuna poke to create some delicious little tuna poke tacos. So, if you're ready for some tuna poke tacos, let's get started. So I know that it is fall, and I should probably be doing some fall things, but I saw this beautiful tuna, and this piece is just under a pound. I'm going to treat it like it's a pound for my marinade. Now, poke, original poke, wasn't really called poke. It didn't really get its name poke until about the 60s or the 70s. And the word poke literally means to cut crossways. But originally, in Hawaii, the Polynesians, fishermen, would catch reef fish, and they would obviously put sea salt on it, and of course the salt is for, as it has been forever, used to preserve the fish. And with the sea salt, they would add seaweed and candle nuts, and this they would use to snack on. A lot of times they would use the scraps from the fish and make this and use it to snack on. And then, of course, Chef Sam Choi in Hawaii really popularized poke to we know it today. And then, of course, with so many other influences, Japanese and Chinese influences, comes the soy sauce and different things. And the fun thing about poke now, though, is that you can really just make it your own. Add things that you like, add things that you don't like, and just really, really make it your own. Now, they had this beautiful tuna on sale, so I got this for $11 for this whole piece of tuna. And it just made me really want poke. So that's what I thought we would do. I would bring that to you. Now I'm cutting this in a fairly small dice because we're going to make little tacos with it. But I kind of like my poke cut kind of smaller and not in big chunks. And then I also think that helps the marinade really get into it better as well. Now this, with this little fat running through there, if you thought that was something that you wouldn't like, you could leave that out. If you saw a bit of the bloodline, you could cut that out as well. So once we get this all chopped up, we're going to make our marinade for it. And then we're going to start working on our taco shells and the rest of what we're going to use to garnish our poke with. So we're going to get this cut up. And this tuna is just so, so good for you. You know, tuna improves your blood circulation. It's full of omega-3 fatty acids and potassium, which are both anti-inflammatories. So super, super good for you, this tuna. And I'm really excited to make these tacos. Now, I don't think that tuna poke ever really lasts a long time. And it's definitely something that's best eaten day of. But you could keep it in the refrigerator for 1 day at least. And then you could actually, after that, if you felt like it, just give it a quick sear in a hot pan and make a rice bowl with it. So now that we've got that all cut up, we're going to do some sea salt. Now, I don't have Hawaiian sea salt, but I do have Malden, which I think is a beautiful sea salt. And I'm going to cover this with a teaspoon of that sea salt and really scatter that around to make sure it's all covered. Now, this is definitely a place where sea salt is really the way to go. This is what you want to taste like the sea. It tastes like it's fresh and came from the sea. So I got that mixed up. I'm going to do about another half a teaspoon of that beautiful sea salt. And be careful with your sea salt. It's like not with your kosher salt, but your sea salt will get salty on you really quick. And to this, we're going to do 4 teaspoons of soy sauce. Now, the beautiful thing about this is you can just customize it for you and what you like. I do think that sesame and the soy sauce are kind of a must, if I had to say. And then we're going to do some sesame oil. Now, be careful with your sesame oil. It is an oil that will go rancid, so I actually keep my sesame oil in the fridge just to keep this from happening. But I also think that sesame oil is really strong, really potent, and can actually kind of take over and you just taste this sesame oil. So I'm just going to do about a half of a teaspoon of that sesame oil. So it just doesn't take over, and that's all that we taste. And I'm going to do a little bit of mirin sweetened sake. Now, at this point, with your soy sauce and your sesame oil, this is when you can get creative on your own. So I'm going to do a little bit of this mirin. I'm going to do a teaspoon of this sake. And I'm also going to do a little bit of rice wine vinegar. And that vinegar will help balance that out. And then I want a little bit of chili paste. So you can do the Rooster chili paste, or you can do this chili paste. But this, when it says crisp, it is. These chilies do in there stay pretty crunchy and don't get really soft. But I'm going to do a teaspoon of this. And then I want some ginger in here for mine. So I have about an inch by inch nub of ginger. And once I get this in here, I'm going to pop this bowl in the fridge and just let all of these beautiful flavors start to marry and come together and really start to season this tuna. And while that's happening, then we can get on making our little taco shells and some other garnish that we're going to use for this. Now, once you get to this point, you can really kind of call it done if you would like. I like a little onion in mine, but we're going to do some green onions, and we're going to wait till the end to do that. But onion is pretty common in poke. And if you wanted to do a little sweet Maui onion or a little red onion and finely dice it, you could put that in now. But I'm going to wait and just do those green onions at the end. But it comes together pretty quick. Once you get your tuna cut up, your marinade is super quick and easy. And for me, they're pantry staples. My soy sauce and sesame oil and rice wine vinegar are really staples in my pantry. So at this point, if I didn't want to make tacos, I could just make some sushi rice or some jasmine rice and make a poke bowl. But I've been in the mood for creating fun tacos lately, so we're going to make some little tacos. So we're just going to pop this in the fridge. I like to let this sit for a good 30 minutes. So let's pop it in the fridge, and then we'll get moving on. So you've got some options here. So I've got the large egg roll wrappers, which you can use, and I tend to like better. I think they just get a little bit crispier. Plus, I can, if I want to cut them out and make them round, I can. And this gives you that more traditional look of a taco shell. And that really makes them mini. And I don't throw this away. I cook that up to have for just make crackers. So, or you have the square that you get wonton wrappers. And they're pretty much the same thing. You've got the big one and you've got the small one. So when you put this across here, it's going to give you that taco shell. And when you do the small ones like this, as you can see, it's going to make a super teeny tiny little taco shell. Now, if you don't have one of these to make your taco shells on, then you can just do these flat and then make it like a tostada. So we're going to get these ready. And just to save time today, we're going to do the square ones. And if you do just have the big sheets and you don't have the small sheets, and you still want to do them square, then you can just cut these. So I kind of like the big sheets because you get kind of those options to do. So what we're going to do, we've got our oven on 350. I've got this chili crisp, and I just want the oil from this. And it's okay if some chilies get in, but I'm just scooping the oil from this. And I'm going to use this to brush both sides of my shells. And we're going to drape that on our nifty little taco holder there. We're going to put these in the oven. Now you have to really do these a couple times. Do a couple to really judge how your oven and how fast they're cooking. For me, they take about 4 minutes. If I go over that 4 minutes, then I tend to make crackers, and they're way too hard and crunchy, and you try to use them as a taco shell, but they just fall apart on you. And obviously these are smaller, so these I might pull out at 3 minutes. So we're just adding some this chili oil on here just to give it some seasoning. If you don't have the chili oil, I would just do like avocado oil or something. So we're going to pop these in the oven. And again, these scraps, I just go ahead and brush and cook them. And then I just have them in a bag for whatever I might need some little chips for. And that way nothing goes to waste. So I'll pop these in the oven. I'm going to set my timer. So I also want some green onions for mine. And I'm going to use the white and the green part. And I want to slice these really, really thin. And I'm going to soak them in a bowl of ice water for about 15 minutes. And when you soak onions, any kind of onion, in ice water, it really takes that super pungent bite of onion out of them. And if you're doing onions for a dish and you want to put raw onions and you're afraid they're just going to be too strong and overpower, if you cut them, soak them in ice water for about 15 minutes, it'll take that super strong pungent taste. And then for these, it's also going to give us the added benefit of making them not so pungent and make them really crispy. It helps make them crispy. So we're going to let our green onions soak, and we're going to move on to our next. Macadamia nuts are also something that you find a lot in a lot of poke versions. And you can put these in your food processor and give them a chop, or you can just give them a chop and whatever you think is easier. I'm just going to give these a quick chop. And I want to wait to add these because if I wait, they'll stay crisper than if I would put them in the refrigerator while that tuna's marinating. So we're going to cut some macadamia nuts, and these just add that great crunch that you get. So everything's just not soft, you get some crunch in there as well. And there's our first 4 minutes for our shells. Let's see how they're doing. So I'm going to say 1 more minute. So our time is up, and I'm just going to transfer these to a cool taco holder to cool down. A lot of times if I'm just making these little shells for Billy and I'll just do one little thing and let them cool on there. But we're going to make some more. So I want to get those in the oven while we continue. So I want some spicy mayo for my tacos. So I've got a cup of mayo. I'm going to add just a sprinkling of my sake. And I'm going to add 3 good tablespoons of my sriracha. And then we'll have some spicy mayo to garnish these tacos with. Quick, easy to make. And then you have it in the fridge, and then you can use this mayo on sandwiches, or you can make hard-boiled eggs, deviled eggs, and use this mayonnaise in them. Or you could just make egg salad. So a lot of different uses for this. And I'm going to give it a taste. Oh, that's yummy. To see if it needed more sriracha or not. And I think for my taste buds, I'm going to say no. Somebody else's taste buds might be like things a little spicier, but for me it's just perfect. So whenever I make spicy mayo, I go ahead and do a whole cup of mayo and make it just to have in the fridge for doing other things with. And it will inspire you, because you'll be doing something and you'll think, oh, I've got that, I can add that in there. So I've got a cucumber, and I'm going to dice up some cucumber. Again, this is something that's optional, but I like that hint of brightness and freshness from the cucumber. And if you happen to throw it on the floor, then just rinse it off and just keep going. But I want this pretty small dice for this, because these tacos are going to be tiny, and so everything's just going to be in a bite. So you want to do your cucumbers if you do them. And I love these little Kirby cucumbers, or you could do English cucumbers. You can do any kind of cucumber you like. So we'll have all of this ready. So when the tuna comes out of the fridge, we can add all of this to it. So the last thing that we're going to do, and we're going to wait, and I'm going to wait and do that to the end, is I'm going to dice some avocado. And then I'll just dice that straight in, and I don't have to worry about it sitting out and oxidizing. So we're just about ready to go. Let's pull our pokey out. We're going to give it a stir. It already looks so fantastic. So now I want to add my avocado. I'm just going to give this a peel and a quick dice. If I do my avocado up in advance and I've got to put lime or something on it to keep it from oxidizing, then it kind of changes the taste, and I don't want that, so that's why I'm going to wait till the end and dice my avocado up. So many good things in here, so many good things for you. Obviously the tuna, super good for you. Cucumbers, as we know, super good for you. Avocados. Alright, so we got our avocado in there. I'm going to stir this in. I'm going to pop this back into the fridge. And then I'm going to get it set up to start making our tacos. But I want to keep my tuna cold. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge. And then we'll be right back and start building these tacos. Here we are. And we are ready to finish this and then start our tacos. So I'm going to do my cucumber. I'm going to do my macadamia nuts, and I like adding this at the end again because it helps keep it nice and crunchy. So you've got soft, crunchy, and just different textures going on. And our green onions, I've strained off and dried them off with some coffee filters or paper towels, whatever you use. And I'm going to wait and use these to sprinkle on the top. So let's get this all mixed up so we can start building our tacos. Now, I did make some bigger ones So I think I'll use that for Billy's lunch. So we have these little tiny ones, and then these little tiny ones, you know, you could do a poke bar if you were having a party, and have your poke, and then like your nuts and avocado, your cucumber, whatever other items that you wanted all on the side, and people could kind of make their own little tiny tacos. And if you're having a party, the little ones like this, if you did that, would be great, because then you don't need as much tuna, because people are just getting a couple of bites. But it gives them that couple of bites of something really nice without breaking the budget, obviously. So I know it's kind of fall, and probably should be doing fall-like things, but just couldn't help myself when I saw this tuna. But I eat tuna all year long. I don't have to worry about it being summer and something cool and refreshing for the summer. And it's still in 80s here, so it kind of still feels like summer. So we are going to build our little tacos just because I think they're so stinking cute, and I can take a bite. So I'm going to make sure that's mixed up really well. I want to do just a little spoonful, and you see it doesn't take a whole lot when you use these little ones. And how cute is that? I'm going to just sprinkle a couple of my green onions, and they're all nice and crispy and not as sharp as they would have been. And my sriracha mayonnaise, you could do like unagi. Unagi is one of my favorite sauces, and you could do unagi mayo as well. So, and then you have this beautiful little mini tuna taco, and it's easy to eat. Really not having this for lunch. It's so good. Just the right amount of spice. Got just a little bitty kick from that mayo. That tuna is so fresh and beautiful. Crunch from those nuts. Oh, just perfect. So I'm going to keep building tacos for us to have for lunch. And the next time you see a beautiful piece of tuna when you're at the store, I hope you'll stop and think, hey, I could make some tuna poke, and maybe even some tuna tacos. If you wanted to use your wonton wrappers and just cook them flat, again, it could be like a tostada, but you could also make nachos and lay them out, put your tuna on top of them, and sprinkle with your green onions and mayonnaise, and make some tuna nachos, which is another really good thing for a party, and people can just dip in and grab their nachos. When I was in Florida at the beginning of the month, my sister Mia and her fiance James and I went down to the Keys, and we had some tuna nachos, and the tuna was cut in big, huge, like 1 inch chunks, and I prefer it cut a little on the smaller side. And I also don't think when you're doing something like a nacho that you just want to pop in your mouth, that big, huge piece was just a bit much. So thank you for joining us today for tuna poke, and you'll find the recipe for my tuna poke, of course, over at Gary's Galley. And until next time, safe cruising.